Good morning everyone, today we're going to be talking about whether the Triyal Capsules are worth using or not. But before we jump into the rest of the video, if you're new to the channel, I upload NGS content daily, so if you do play this game, I would really appreciate a subscribe as it really helps out the channel. Anyway, without further ado, let's begin the video. So before we talk about the Triyal Capsules, I do want to do a short recap of what I believe the most standard gear everyone should be aiming for as an average player. I do have an entire video over here, it will be linked in the description below, but as you can see, the basic information right here, I have 147% potency. This is the most basic gear. If we look at my gear right here, you can see I'm still using a Vershmel Katana, and I have Elena armors with just full LC capsules as well as a spare trippable. It's super basic. Everyone has access to all of these because you can literally buy 4 of these LC capsules from the Growthman shop. So as long as you run Lucille Exploration at least once every single day, you're gonna have enough Growthman to buy out all of the stuff over here and get all these LC capsules. And you also get a bunch of LC capsules by hunting down ancient enemies, by doing the limited time quest, which we don't have anything this week, but we will have more next week. And then of course, just farming Lucille Exploration will also reward you with a bunch of LC capsules. So with this standard gear, each piece of armor gives us 100 HP, 25 photon power, as well as 26.5% all potency. This is very solid and a very good starting point for a lot of players. Now, another thing that I want to showcase is how potency is multiplicative. So as you can see over here, these 3 armors have the exact same stats, 100 HP, 25 photon power, as well as 26.5% all potency, right? So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to unequip my weapon, right? So we're going to unequip my weapon, and if we look down here under my weapon up potency, you can see I have a 102.8% potency. However, if we were to add up our armors, because that's the only thing that we're wearing right now, 26.5 multiplied by 3 is actually only 79.5. So if it was additive, we would only have 79.5% potency instead of 102.8% potency. And the reason why we have 102 is simply because they multiply with each other. So this now begs the question, hey, these Triyal Capsules are very easy to obtain and they're very cheap on the marketplace, and they increase our potency by 3.5%, which is significantly better than our High Ale Domina LC, which only gives us 2.75, as well as our Grand Dread Keeper LC, which only gives us 2.25. So we could increase our potency dramatically by replacing these 2 LC capsules as well as our trippable capsule over here, which only gives us 3%. We can gain a lot of extra potency if we are to use these Triyal Capsules. That sounds really good on paper, right? So it's like, wow, we can get so much more potency, we can get so much more power. Now, as many of you guys have already suspected, there is a downside to these capsules. Because you are able to use all 3 of these simultaneously, which is new, because normally, you know, these are categories. These are the Triyal categories. Normally you can only pick 1 out of each category, but for some reason Seigo's like, hey, you can use all of them if you want. So you can actually use the Spiro Trial, the Wardo Trial, and the Gardo Trial on one singular piece of armor in order to gain all of its benefits. But the downside is you will also have to suffer all of the negative effects, which are also multiplicative. So as we can see over here, damage resistance minus 5%. When you wear 3 of these, it's not just minus 15%, it's a lot more. It's like 20-something% actually, and it hurts absolutely crazy. You just die instantly. It's actually very crazy. The Wardo capsule over here with the all down resistance, you wear 3 of these, or you wear 4 of these, and it's actually like minus 400% all down resistance. So that is all of your resistances out of the window. If you get frozen, if you get shocked, if you get burnt, those durations last forever, especially when you get stunned, like when Rock Bear like throws a rock at you or stuns you or whatever. You know how you can mash WASD or your controller to try to unstun yourself? You actually have to do it like twice as long, if not longer, in order to get out of that stun lock. It's actually very crazy. And then of course we have the Spiro, which is just minus photon power. I believe this one is additive and not multiplicative. However, we will be finding out in today's video as we're going to be testing that, as I will be replacing 3 of my augments on all of my armors as well as my weapon with all of these Triyal Capsules. Now, is this a good idea? No, it is not a good idea. The reason for this is because you are getting pure potency, but you are giving up something very, very important, which is called floor potency or damage adjustment. There are only 3 exceptions on where you do not need damage adjustment or floor potency. The first one is if you're using a Verschmel weapon like what I have right here in the sake of today's video, because you do get crit rate plus 100%. So if you're always critting, your damage is always consistent and you don't need the extra floor potency in order to equalize your damage, because critical hits are always the same every single time, so it doesn't matter. So that is the first case scenario. The second case scenario is if you play a Slayer. If you play a Slayer, you have an incredibly high crit rate. You have like 80% crit rate already, and then if you get like a Fixa Fatale, you basically have 100% crit rate. There's like absolutely no reason why you should use anything else. Actually, if you play a Slayer, you probably want to go Termina instead of Fixa Fatale, simply because your crit rate is already so high by default. So, you know, really up to you. But that is the second exception. The third exception is if you have Fixa Fatale, but it's a Fixa Fatale level 4 or level 5, like it's a high Fixa, then it's okay to just stick with the Fixa Fatale and just go pure potency, because your crit rate is going to be awfully high. You're going to have like 60-70% crit rate already, and that is a, you know, very high crit rate. It's good enough so you can kind of give up floor potency. But for everyone else, floor potency is still important. Please do not get sucked into the tunnel vision of, oh, I only need as much potency as possible because that's giving us damage. But if your variance or your damage adjustment is like 50% to 100%, that means every single time you hit an enemy, there's RNG involved. It's like, oh, are you going to hit 50% of your damage? Or are you going to hit 80% of your damage or 100% of your damage? There's a lot of variables involved over here. Versus if you have a lot of floor potency or a lot of damage adjustment, your damage is going to be a lot more consistent, and it's just going to be a little bit more easier to deal out consistent damage. However, before I start throwing all of these augments onto my weapon and armor, another thing that I need to address, really need to stress, is you need to be able to handle all of the negatives to make it worth it. Because these are a lot of negatives. You're going to be suffering really badly, and you really need to adopt the just don't get hit forehead mentality. Because if you do get hit at all, the chances of you dying is like 90% that you are going to die in one hit if you decide to use all 3 of these capsules. Now, you could opt to be a little bit more conservative, and instead of using all 3 of them, you only use 2 or you only use 1, and life would be a little bit easier on you, and that way, you know, it's not as punishing. But overall, I personally think it's not worth all of the negatives for the extra potency, especially if you are going on a budget build over here. Like, you know, 147% potency is okay. You know, we're kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel. We're getting by. So sure, we do want more potency, but at the cost of dying all the time, that is definitely not worth it. Because remember, if you're dead, you're not able to do any DPS. So you do want to prioritize some survivability, and you need to cater your build based on your skill level. If you're really good at the game and you don't get hit at all, yes, you can go full glass cannon. You could adopt all 3 of those capsules onto your armors and onto your weapons and just be an absolute glass cannon. However, if you're dying all the time because you're a glass cannon, well, it kind of defeats the entire purpose of making a glass cannon build, because you need to be able to maintain that high skill level and stay alive and be able to avoid all of the different crowd control abilities that the bosses are throwing out at you. But with all of the disclaimers out of the way, we are actually going to be augmenting all our stuff over here. And then I do believe, yes, we do have a Malevolent Darkfall's Aegis urgent quest coming up in like 9 minutes. So we're actually going to augment everything, and I'm going to jump into that urgent quest. I'm going to show you how bad things hurt. So over here, we're just going to hop over here. We're going to go over to our add augments. We're going to start off with our Verschmel weapon because this one's relatively straightforward. We're going to pop 10 of each capsule right here, confirm, and then we will be replacing all of the ones with low potency. So, you know, this one's 3% potency. We'll replace that. High L Domina, 2.75%, as well as Gigas Maste LC. So we take those out and then we replace them with all 3 of the Triyal capsules. As you can see, you can use all 3 simultaneously simultaneously, 80% success rate. So we are going to be using a 20% booster, so 100% success rate, because I do not like to gamble at all. And wabam, complete. So now we can see our weapon is complete. It actually gives us 23.8% potency, however, minus 50% all resistance. And yeah, we are very, very squishy with this. But nevertheless, we will continue on with our next piece of armor. Again, 10 of each capsule. We're going to do confirm. And then right here, we will take away our Spirit Trippable. We'll also take away High L Domina, as well as Grand Dreadkeeper LC. And then we're going to replace it with these three right here. Start affix augment, yes. We're gonna pop in a 20% booster, and wabam. So now that all of this is complete, we're gonna put these back into my material storage, and we can see that our armors actually now give us 29.6% all potency. However, we lost a metric butt ton of photon power as well as HP. We were at 100 HP and like, I forgot how much photon power, like 15 photon power or something. I'm gonna need to look back at what it was earlier. Editor Caro, like, put in something here. But nevertheless, you know, we are incredibly squishy now. So now when we look at my stat sheet over here, I have 170% potency. This is actually more than my regular balance build that I was using earlier with the Octo armors. However, we have damage resistance minus 21.5%. That means I take 21.5% more damage when anything hits me. This is gonna hurt a ton. My damage adjustment is literally non-existent. That's 51.5%. Remember, by default, it's 50%. And then my HP and my photon power has taken a significant hit as well. My HP has gone down to 976, my photon power at 149. However, I do have a lot of attack, but my resistances, as you can see here, is minus 406.2%. So I will be taking a lot of damage. I will be very easy to get CC'd, but if we adopt the mentality of just don't get hit forehead, this is actually a very powerful build. So let me just pick up this food buff over here. We will also go and just get all our buffs. We'll get our alliance buff, our mag buff, the whole shebang, so that we do not leave any variables on the table. All right, so now we are in the urgent quest. As we can see over here, we have really bad stats. We are super squishy. This is literally, we have sacrificed everything for just damage, all right? So I am expecting great things. I am expecting good DPS, probably in the 5,000 to 6,000 range, maybe even the 7,000 range if we get a little bit lucky. But I can't get hit. Probably should have switched my subclass. You know, I do have Force as a subclass, just in case I do need that photon power. But probably should have switched it to like a Waker so that I had a little bit more survivability, or could have gone like full glass cannon and with like a bouncer subclass or fighter subclass just for even more damage. But nevertheless, we rolled with Force because I didn't think about it. I totally forgot. But here we go. We are going to be fighting Malevolent Dark False Aegis with this budget build that we spent like a couple thousand Meseta on because we farmed for all of those capsules. But nevertheless, let's see our damage. We're at 9,000 DPS, but this is just the beginning, you know, this is just the burst, so we do need to let it stabilize a little bit. But as you can see, just don't get hit forehead and everything will be fine. Ow! Okay, that didn't kill me. I'm very surprised that that only did like 400 damage. I thought that would just absolutely obliterate me, but considering that I only have like 1,100 HP, I guess it's taking off like 1/3 of my HP. We'll see in a burst phase, maybe when we down the boss or something. Oh god. Oh, that didn't kill me. All right, that did 50% of my health, but it didn't kill me. Maybe we don't need a Waker sub. Maybe we could just get away with even more damage with like a bouncer sub or the fighter sub. And let's see our damage over here. Come on, DPS, go higher. 5.5k. I expect greater things. With all of these downsides and negatives, I expect greater damage. All right, Katana combat. No, I messed up. I didn't have my Brave combat end there. Keep in mind that I am using a Vershmel weapon. So it's not the greatest weapon, you know, most people are probably using other weapons, But the advantage of the versatile weapon is I do have 100% crit rate. I have no photon power or photon points, whatever, guys. I know the comment section is going crazy, but you know, I should have popped my overpower, whatever it's called. What is this skill called? The skill is called PP conversion. I should have used that, and then that would have given me more photon power during that down phase to pump out more damage. However, we did see the 7,000s. We were able to get to 7,000. That's pretty good. Okay, let's do the mechanics because we're team players. We can just counter that or just block it. Good. Took 30 damage times 2. Okay, 13,500. Not bad. 13,000. Oh, right, yeah, because we have 100% crit rate. We can counter that. So overall, it is looking pretty good. However, do understand that I'm not allowed to get hit, basically. I take so much damage if I get hit. Okay, what is the boss doing? What is going on? I think we dealt too much damage. The boss is doing random stuff now. We pushed him past phase. Oh god, I need to counter this. Stop blocking it. There we go. Ooh, that would have killed me. If I got hit by that, I would have died. 110%. Alright. So since it is WQ week or whatever, we do get another run. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna switch it to I guess a fighter? I'll switch to fighter subclass so that we get even more damage. Because this isn't, you know, I feel like we could squeeze out more DPS, right? If you're sacrificing all of your defenses for damage, you might as well go full send, right? You might as well go all offense and no defenses at all. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull out the fighter subclass. I was thinking about bouncer, but I don't think we break anything on this boss, which is why I say fighter, because fighter just gives us more damage on downed enemies, I think. So it's just slightly better because we don't break anything. Ow. Yeah, I'm very surprised that we were actually able to tank a lot of the stuff there. We took 50% of our health, but that's not that bad, to be honest. So what we will do is we will switch our subclass. Alright, this is take 2. However, instead of having the 4 subclass, we are now using a fighter subclass to get even more damage on those downs. So when the boss breaks or gets physical down or elemental down, we should be able to do a lot more damage on them. So we can look forward to that. But overall, I am very surprised on how unpunished I am. Like, if I was running Lucille Exploration or if I was running the Gorge area, I would probably feel these negative effects a lot more. But in Malevolent Darkfall's Aegis, I'm very surprised that I'm not getting one-shot by a lot of the skills. I do have a lot of HP though. I do have considerably more HP than other players. Like, I have 1.1k HP. I saw like Spook was running around with like 600 HP. I think it's because he's still using the purple armors from before or something. I don't actually know why, but you know, I think this is actually pretty decent. 170% potency with all of these negative stats. If you can handle it again, you know, at the end of the day, it all boils down to if you can handle all the negatives or not. If you can't, then there's no reason to do this because you're just going to be dead all the time. But from what I've seen so far, it's not that bad. I think it kind of works out if, you know, you get 2 chances basically, right? You don't die in one shot, so that's pretty nice. So there is a small issue. We are running out of photon power incredibly quickly. You can see over there, like, I'm on 9 photon power or photon points, whatever. So it does suck that your PP management does have to be on. You know, you need to be on your game with your PP management because you run out of PP really quickly. The damage is good though. We're looking pretty good at 6.3k DPS. So I'm saving my katana or my brave combat because the moment we break the boss, that is when I'm going to be using my brave combat. And hopefully our Photon Blast... Nah, our Photon Blast is definitely not going to be online by then. Counter? Okay, thank goodness. I was afraid if that hit me, I would have dealt a lot of damage. It wouldn't have killed me, but I would have lost like at least half of my HP. Ow, ow, oh, that doesn't hurt. That doesn't hurt that much. I took like 75% of my health. Or 25%, sorry. I still had 75% health remaining. Okay, there we go. We broke him, and now we Brave Combat. And then we go through the entire duration of Brave Combat, and hopefully we get big damages. Here we go, and wha-bam, 61,000. So we're at what, 7.5k DPS, 7.6. It's okay, it's not bad. Definitely an improvement with the fighter subclass, with the extra down damage. That definitely helped. I'm actually very surprised this actually works. Like, you know, you're giving up a lot of quality of life and a lot of, like, you know, a lot of leeway to play a little bit sloppy. Like, you have to play pretty well. You have to be on your A game, basically. But the extra damage is very nice to have. And then, like, since you're using the Vershmel weapons, it's 100% crit rate, right? So all of your attacks are crits. And that's really nice. I do have it on Fix of 4 Termina, so we do have that extra crit damage as well. But overall, not bad. Not bad at all. Only thing I would like now is maybe if we get some like lifesteal. Give me some lifesteal on this weapon, and then like it'd be perfect. So you're squishy, but you can survive one hit. And then like if you do get hit, you can just lifesteal everything back, right? That would be the dream. All right, this is gonna kill us though. I think we can't survive one of these hits. Let's get hit once. Yeah, see, so we can't survive these hits. These hits will literally kill us. Well, I mean, technically we survived one hit. We had 25% HP left after the first hit. It was the second hit that killed us because we got hit multiple times by that. So there's that. But I don't think I could live that even with my normal gear. Like getting hit twice by that, I think I would die either way. So I'm kind of... Cake is gonna hate me for this. Cake is like, please don't use these capsules. Like they're really bad. They give you advantages, but like they're not that great for all the disadvantages you get. And I do agree with her, but it's not bad. It's not bad. I'm doing okay. So, you know, I think this just isn't meta. Like this should not be the meta, but if you want, like if you want the extra damage and you've played a lot of this game and you're pretty confident in your skills, I think it's okay. It's not the end of the world to use this because you get the extra damage for a fraction of the cost and it's a very solid build. It's just don't get hit forehead, right? It's really boils down to not getting hit and actually being pretty decent at your class and knowing how it works. If I were to use this build with any other class other than Braver, I would get absolutely pooped on. All right, and then we're gonna end this with a Photon Blast. We lock on, and whoop-bam! 37,000. What? I thought I would do a lot more damage, and that's a little bit disappointing. And there we go, we were actually able to complete Malevolent Dark False Ages without dying. There was one time that I did die, however, I did it on purpose to actually test it. But I'm very surprised. I thought that this negative 21.5% damage resistance would be an absolutely game changer. Like, you know, I would just die left and right from anything. But no, it didn't kill me instantaneously. I did take, you know, half of my health, you know, for most hits. So basically you could survive 2 hits is like the TLDR. It's actually pretty decent. The only thing that I haven't tested yet, but I've seen other people do it and it's horrible, is of course the ailment resistances. So if you do decide to do the gorge area, it's an absolute nightmare. And then on top of that, if you do Lucille exploration, you know, that's also really sucks. But at the end of the day, with all of my food buffs and everything, I think this build is alright. It's a decent build. However, as I said at the beginning of the video, there are 3 very important points in order to utilize this build. You need the crit. If you don't have any crit chance, this build is going to be absolutely doo-doo, because you need a lot of critical hit in order to make up for this damage adjustment, because we only have 51.5% damage adjustment, and most people are probably only going to have 50% damage adjustment, so you can't actually take full advantage of all of this extra potency. So in my case, I did use a Vershmel weapon. It's not the best, I know. Vershmel weapon is still a 9-star rarity weapon, but it did have a Fix Determina 4. You know, if you have a Fix Determina 5, you're going to get even better mileage than me. And then, you know, we have a bunch of these negative stats. Now, if you don't want to use a Vershmel weapon and you want to use a 10-star rarity weapon, that's perfectly fine. As long as you play a Slayer, then you're good to go. You can go with Fix Determina. But if you're playing any other class, then you are going to need a Fix Fatale 4 or above in order to get all that extra crit chance to make up for your lack of floor potency. But now to answer the age-old question, do I recommend this build? Only if you're confident in your abilities and if you main a Slayer or you have a high Fixa Fatale on your weapon already, or you're planning to continue to use your Vershmel weapons. These are pretty much the only 3 criterias, or the only 3 reasons why I would recommend this build. For everyone else, I would probably find a middle ground. Like, if you really want that extra potency, it's not the end of the world to use one of the Triyal Capsules. I would highly advise against using all 3. All 3 Triyal Capsules on all of your gear is incredibly punishing. You get way too many negative stats, but it works. You know, you do need to learn how to control your photon points properly, because you do run out of PP incredibly quickly since your PP pool is very small. PP very small, because you only have 169 PP over here, and very nice. But oh my god, I'm laughing at stupid jokes. But nevertheless, you know, this build is okay. However, for the average player, you know, if you're dying all the time because you're using like super crazy glass cannon-y builds, then it's probably a good idea to step away from this build and go with the more traditional build. I would much rather have someone with 150%, 145% potency that's constantly doing damage and not dying, versus someone with 170% potency but is dead 50% of the time. Because as I said again, when you're dead, you're not dealing damage. And if you're not dealing damage, you're kind of useless. You're dead weight there. So just prioritize your survivability over damage in the beginning. However, if you're incredibly comfortable with your class and confident in your abilities, then you can go crazy with this whole glass cannon build. I think a good test is just go to Malevolent Darkfall's Aegis and see if you can live, right? If you can live through that, then I think this is fine. If you want to go for like a more challenging task, maybe try with like Sign of the Planet Breaker, or maybe like the regular Halfia Lake Interception Part 2. So these are like the 4-man versions. These are a little bit more punishing than the Urgent Quest version, of course. But yeah, overall, I think this build is okay. Cakewalk is absolutely going to destroy me in the comment section, because they do not like this build at all. If you go through the damage calculator and actually look through everything, you do get the extra potency, but overall in like the large picture, it's not that big of a deal. You know, there's so many negatives tied with this build that you just have to be really good at the game, or you have to be like very confident in your abilities to overcome all of these negatives. And some of these negatives aren't even overcomable. Like if you go into Lucille Exploration and the enemy confuses you, like what are you gonna do? You can't do anything to protect yourself from the confusion. And then when you're confused, your WASD keys are all inverted or mixed around, and you're just gonna die because you just don't know what on earth is going on. Or if you get poisoned or burned, like, you know, this is like DOT damage, you're just gonna take damage over time constantly. There's no way to really avoid that as well. And then of course you get frozen, you're just dead because you get frozen forever. And yeah, I think the status ailment one is the most punishing one. This is definitely the most punishing one, even though the damage resistance is pretty crazy. Like you do take a lot of damage, but at least you can mitigate the damage by just not getting hit forehead. But with the status elements, like some of these are really rough.
Special thanks to all the members for supporting the channel. It really means a lot to me. Thank you again.
But yeah, that's all I wanted to cover in today's video. Hopefully you guys found it helpful. If you did, I would appreciate a like and a subscribe, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Bye!